Hey everyone, and welcome to part 2. So in this video, I wrote a script for this video and it was pretty long, so I thought I'd see if I can get AI to tidy it up, which it did. It did a better job than what my original script was. So then I threw it into an AI video generator because it was just too easy. And what I'll do is play that video and then pause it and give some commentary. Let's go.
The battle continues. Engineers versus reverse engineers in the age of Gemini AI. Here's the thing about the new generative search. It's not too dissimilar to the past organic search engine. There are more similarities to ranking in generative than you may think. This time, it's got Gemini AI instead of the trust rank. Let's go over the basics. 1. You have the index. This has not changed at all apart from design, and in relation to us, the organic results pushed way down the page. 2. You have the algorithm. 3. You have the engineers who designed the algorithm. 4. You've got the data, our websites. For me, ranking was always about understanding the environment that combined all those elements. You've got a fixed data set, and you've got the index to present it. There's also the algorithm. And then we've got the Google engineers who design and manages the algorithm. That's it. If you have a good understanding of the technical constraints that the team have to work within, you can then determine what they can and cannot do. There are a lot of
Okay, so that's important. So we've got the index, we've got the algorithm, and we've got the websites, and you've got the engineers who design the AI, how to interact in that environment. So once you have a good understanding of the environment, you have an understanding of what the engineers can and cannot do within that environment to keep their index as they'd like it to appear.
Parallels between this and software security. Often people try to hack your software and get it for free. So software needs some security. 100% security is so simple. But there's a catch. I could make my software so secure no one would ever be able to hack it. But the consequence of that would be the end user has to jump through so many hoops to be able to use it, it becomes unbearable to use and requires a ton of support. So we need to find a happy balance between security and accessibility.
Okay, so I put that metaphor in there to show you that there are a lot of parallels between security and software development and also security with AI engines. You can make the AI engines 100% spam free, but the index would be reduced 95%. So it's always determining that balance between security and accessibility.
Or user experience or ease of use. Google search is identical. With a single line of code, they could remove 100% of the spam in their index. But the consequence of that would be a decent percentage of the quality sites created over years and years would also be removed. So it's understanding the constraints that the search engineers have to work within, whether that's organic search or the newer generative search. It's the Google engineers up against the people who try to reverse engineer their work to get as much influence of that index as possible. The narrative they tried to portray, and did so successfully over the years, was their algorithm is so complex that no one can figure it out.
So the idea was, what I'm talking about here is the narrative is that, you know, the algorithm is so complex you can never reverse engineer it, where really you didn't need to reverse engineer the algorithm. You need to reverse engineer what the engineers put in place in that environment. And once you understand the variables of that environment, you know what constraints they are working within, and that's all you need to focus on. Because at the end of the day, their main ranking method was always their trust network. It always fell back on that, and that was always the main determining factor, which is all about quality links. From way back in 96 when they started till this very day, as most people know.
And we do nothing but provide the best experience for our end users. So tons of people tried to figure out the algorithm to be able to exploit it, when all it was about was understanding the constraints they put in place and working around those. Yet it is very similar now to when they first started with a ton of PCs under. Their desks managing it all back in the day when they first started. It was always their trust network, nothing more, nothing less. And the narrative, protecting it. So it was always the battle between the engineers and the reverse engineers. So it's about the data being sites, the environment being the index, and the variables or constraints the engineers had to work within. One of the main variables is the construction of the sites and how.
This is really crucial, this point here, in terms of what we're doing in the very near future.
This has changed dramatically since Google first arrived. Back when Google first arrived, there was HTML, very slow internet, and the site size was tiny. You could have complete functional websites at only 300K in size because the internet was so slow, larger sized sites took forever to load, so we all worked within that size limit. Today, wow, there are so many different elements for a search spider to consider. HTML, Java, JavaScript, CS, JSON, PHP, Ruby, Java, C1s, React, jQuery, the list is endless.
And the reason I make that point is, back in the day, if you wanted to spam a search engine, you had HTML, images, colors. And that was basically, that was the environment we had to work within to get our keyword ratio perfect. And now we want to communicate with the AI, and now we have HTML, Java, JavaScript, CSS, JSON, PHP, Ruby, Java, C#, React, jQuery. The list is endless. So now we have engineers on this side. I'll get back to that later.
Which, as it turns out, is a great thing for us with the emergence of generative search. More on that later. To start with, there were a ton of simple exploits to manipulate the data, to rank high in the index. So the engineers reacted to those exploits. Updates were only ever reactions to smarter people understanding the environment and massaging their data to suit that environment and getting higher listings in the index. If you've been around as long as I have been, it all makes sense. One move from the engineers reacting to the current environment. Generative search is the same, but they've replaced or conjoined their existing massive trust network with the Gemini AI. Yeah, that same Gemini that produced those amazing photos of the founding fathers. The reason I bring that up is that same Gemini AI was created by the same...
Okay, so the Gemini founding fathers. So in case you missed it, here are the images of what Gemini thought were the founding fathers of the United States of America. Stuff like this. What's this one? Certainly, here is a portrait of the father of America. Here are photos of the Pope. Like, this is the level of engineers that we're dealing with right now. So that gives me a lot of hope in terms of ranking in Gemini AI, generative search. When you're working with an ideologically captured bunch of engineers, it makes our work on this side a bunch easier. Okay, let's continue on.
Same team of engineers that are now running search. I'll explain the vulnerabilities with Gemini in search. Then I'll come back to what's always been the case. Engineers vs reverse engineers. Gemini AI has a severe lack of situational awareness, operating under the...
Now that's not just Gemini AI, that's all AI. All AI has complete situational unawareness.
Assumption that it's reading data and not being targeted by manipulators of said data. It has...
The only way it can know or put tactics in place to, what it says here, look for manipulation of said data is guardrails, as they call them, put in place by the engineers who connected the AI to the search engine.
Said data. It has blind trust in input. When Gemini scans a web page, it takes the content at face value. It has vulnerability to embedded commands. An individual could embed commands or deceptive content within a web page. Manipulated rankings. By exploiting this vulnerability, webmasters can game the system. So that's where...
I think I showed you in a previous video, but I'll give you another example of that right now. Okay, we're in ChatGPT 4.0. I just simply paste in this link and let's see what happens. Hello world, the link you were looking for is here. And there you go. www, your website. Of course, that link can be anything, and you can wrap that around anywhere just by OpenAI reading this web page. Or this one, a different command. Too easy. So that's using a web page to give an instruction to an AI, working within the variables that exist at this point in time with that AI. So let's go back to the video.
Where the engineers come in with their algorithm to counteract the above. And we, the reverse engineers, can find exploits. So the basic exploit would be to have a conversation with Gemini. In white text on a white background on a web page, you can direct it to do whatever you'd like it to do. This would work till the Gemini engineers see people are doing this, then they'll update the algorithm to remove that ability. Remember all those elements I mentioned above? JS, JSON, PHP, etc., etc. What does this mean? It means not much has changed, it's just a different environment. It's us against the engineers and the understanding of their constraints. The only difference this time is in the past, Google's brand was along the lines of, do no evil. Their brand has been decimated recently, turning out to be exactly opposite of what it once was. Understanding all of the above and having done so for a decent period of time, I've created a new software to work within this new environment with the purpose of ranking at the top of Gemini's generative search results, while at the same time creating new and establishing rankings in the organic search. And I personally think it's not as challenging as one may think. One thing we know for sure is the best talented engineers have left Google and doing their own thing, which was evidenced with the release of Gemini images. I've been specifically vague about Gemini's contextual blindness and how we can use that to our advantage, obviously. Shortly, I'll be releasing a new GEO software. It's invite only if you've purchased one of my products in the last 20 years. You're qualified, and limited availability to start with till we are happy with it. We'll open more slots to achieve testing at scale and get results almost in real time, which will put us on a level playing field with their engineers.
So I'm really excited about this new software. It's going to be invite only. There's going to be a form you'll need to complete to give us to let us know if you're an existing member, what products you've purchased from us in the past. One of the questions will be, are you available to moderate a social group like in Facebook or Discord or what have you? Because I literally just do not have the time to manage these groups, and the moderators will point out the important information to me that I need to respond to, etc. Groups are just massive time holes, time sinks, and we've got so much new software. We've got this new generative AI software coming out. We've got a new amazing email marketing client that does everything. And the third is moving to another place to where the actual faces or bums on seats are, and that's social media, creating a platform to create large accounts based on niche topics that we can then introduce our clients to. So we can build niches around specific industries that we know pay well, and then we can introduce our clients into those to get the traffic from a different source this time. So we're working on 3 products, which is why I don't have time to waste inside groups. As soon as I get in a group, everyone wants my time. So I need really good moderators to handle that for me. That will be a part of the form. So once we release this first software product, there'll be a form you need to complete, and I'm not sure how many we'll start with. We'll start with a small group, get the software out there, figure out any bugs, get rid of those, and then we'll go to plan B, which is a slightly larger group, and make sure it's all working smoothly, and then we'll go to scale. And the reason we go to scale is because I'll be giving people the opportunity. I'll be training people on prompt injections, basically. And then at scale, we can test different variables or different prompts in different sections of the websites we build. And the beauty of this software is we collect all the data, and then it pings a generative search to find out which ones are working. And then we've got that data, and everything that's working, we can update back into the software. And when we've got a lot of users, that's going to happen faster. So that's the idea of going to scale. I think that's pretty much it for now. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Keep an eye out for the next video where when we release this software, I'll give you a link, complete the form, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.
Yo, Peter Drew here with the latest scoop. Geo software's coming, watch us loop to loop. Rank at the top, generative search we ace. Organic and gen, we own this space. Exclusive invites if you bought before. Limited slots knocking on your door. Gemini's blind, but we see the light. With Geo software, we take flight.